make a little collection of the images that you like about them, either on your phone, or you can cut out magazines or print them out the old-fashioned way and stick them on the inside of your wardrobe.
Miranda, a warm welcome back to the Face Yoga Expert podcast. So excited to have you here again.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here in this very exciting royal week that we're in.
I know. We are going to do a British royal family special today, which is amazing because really that is a transition you've made over the last year or two. Many of you will already know you because you're one of my friends, because you've been on the podcast before, we've done Instagram lives together, and many people will know you as a feel-good fashion coach. But actually, your career has taken a little bit of a turn in the last year or so, and you've become somewhat of an amazing, very renowned royal fashion expert.
Yeah, I have. It's funny, isn't it, how these things are never planned. And I mean, actually, between you and I was never the biggest royal fan before this point. Hilarious. I have to say, I have changed my tune, of course, since. I'm all about it for the fashion. I'm here for the fashion. And I was asked to comment just in passing on, I think, one of Kate Middleton's outfits, and it all sort of mushroomed from there. And I think it's being in the right place in the right time. And, you know, you might have your own plans, but perhaps the universe has others for you. And it has just mushroomed. And actually, I am really enjoying it. I mean, I'm still very much a feel-good fashion coach, and I do my styling and things as well. But they're a very interesting topic, the royal family, from their fashion to all of the feuds and controversy that goes on. And I love how several of them dress. It's great to watch.
It really is great to watch, and I am always hooked on your Instagram posts, your TikTok, which has just exploded over the last year or so, and everything you share. And what I love about it is how you do it with such knowledge and experience, but also a little bit of humor as well, which I love. And you always bring your own sort of wellness, and I always feel your spirituality into it as well, because I mean that's something that you and I connect with. Anyone that doesn't know, we are friends as well as peers in this industry, so we talk to each other. We're voice noting at least once a week, if not more, aren't we? So we have lots in common when it comes to wellness and spirituality. But what I love with the royals in particular is how you make it so digestible, and also you make it almost convert it how we mere mortals can actually start to wear those clothes ourselves, start to take inspiration from that. And because of course it's Coronation weekend, for anyone that doesn't know, we're going to delve a little bit into some of those style hacks and some of those royal style tribes, because I know my audience are going to absolutely love it. So maybe you could start off telling us a little bit about, I guess, the sort of royal style tribe. So this is a post that I love that you did. And you did a great article in the Daily Mail about it, about which royal style tribe are you. So tell us what that is.
Well, actually, you see, it all happened by accident. And the listeners probably will be familiar with the idea of style personalities. And this is something that as a personal stylist, it's a journey that I will walk my clients through. And it's about which you identify that. So there's sort of dramatic, feminine, romantic, creative. Often they have slightly different names, but it's all about a bit of an identity so that when you then go shopping, you can say, right, does this fit the bill? Is this dramatic enough for me, if that's you, or whatever? So then I looked at the royal family, and actually, you really can see that a lot of the royals have got, particularly the royal women, have got their own, if you like, style personality, which is often even more turbocharged than the traditional ones because they're always in the royal spotlight and they really have quite a signature look, so many of them. So I thought it would be rather fun to do this very tongue-in-cheek article in the Mail to find out which the readers were. And I discussed Kate Middleton, also Princess Catherine. That's her official title, but she is very widely known still as Kate Middleton throughout the world. So if I refer to her as Kate, that is why. It's a shorthand. Meghan Markle, I did Princess Diana, the Queen, Camilla, And I think Princess and Usually. So
You did, yeah.
those are my subjects, if you like. And it was quite interesting to compare and contrast. And perhaps the listeners might think they identify or aspire to be more like one, or rather than another. So starting with Kate.
Yes,
She's
let's.
obviously an international fashion icon anyway, as many of them are, helped by her lovely figure, her natural beauty, and poise. I think that's a great starting point, is Kate's posture and the way she carries herself, whether it's the perfect photograph every time. And actually, I'm going to jump right in and reveal a little hack that
Yes.
Kate uses for that. So actually, I'd get your notepads out if you listen to this. Yeah, no, no, thank me for this one. She went viral on TikTok this and had 8.5 views and counting. It's still going up, but you don't generally get a bad picture of Kate, do you? And this is partly due to her fantastic poise and posture. And one very simple thing she does, which makes a huge amount of difference, is she simply keeps her chin parallel to the floor, which prevents either any double chins if it's too low, never a good look, or looking straight up her nostrils if it's too high. And so if you bear that in mind, and just next time you're having a photograph taken, just retain that angle of your chin square to the ground, it makes an awful lot of difference, and you'll like far more photographs of yourself than you did before. So you can have that out of the gates from
I love that tip.
yeah, it's really good and actually
Yeah.
makes a big difference. So back to Kate. She's very classical. She's very elegant, and she works very hard at her own style. And I'm going to say it didn't come completely naturally to her. It's something that's evolved over the years, and she works with a great stylist, and she puts a lot of hard work and effort now into developing every single look, and she's immaculately groomed, and never really puts her hair out of place. You never see. Although we had controversy because we had some red fingernails at Easter, and that was very exciting because she broke a royal rule there. There's a strict etiquette about nail polish, and Kate's gone off the rails, which was very exciting.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. And so she's very, very controlled, very beautiful, but very considered, very organized. And in terms of her sort of silhouette and aesthetic, she has really developed her own style uniform. So when you think of Kate, a bit like the Queen as well, you pretty much can imagine the Queen even more so. We'll get to her in a moment. You can imagine what you're going to see. So she wears the same silhouette because she's managed to work out, because she's put all of this hard work in, exactly what suits her frame the most. And that's going to be different for all of us, of course. I can't answer that question for all the listeners, but Kate has really worked hard, and she's got quite an athletic, tall frame, and slightly wider hips than shoulders. But she balances this all out by defining her waist. She always has a gentle flare on her bottom half, whether that's a wide leg trouser or a sort of an A-line skirt, something like that is her typical look. And then next time you see her, take a look, because she always has the fashion fun on the top half. So that's where she kind of goes to town. And that balances out the disproportionate, only very mildly, nature of her shoulders and her hips. So she has Bardot necklines, high necklines, asymmetric, etc., etc. And that's where she will change things up. She also, yeah, I know, it's great, isn't it? And she also learned a lot from the Queen. And this is another little style tip, really, in that she wears an awful lot of monochrome. And so this means, it doesn't just mean black and white. This means wearing head to toe one color. And it makes you very instantly recognizable. It certainly reinforced the Queen's personal brand, and now it's doing the same for Kate. It makes a very strong, dramatic look, and also has the added advantage, not that Kate needs this, of making you look taller and more slender. And if we're talking about the Queen, instantly recognizable in a crowd. She famously said that if she wore beige, no one would know who she was. And she was right. Yeah, she was right. So that's Kate, very careful, very considered, elegant, classic. Sometimes a little bit boring, some people would say, classics do say, critics do say, and I think as a celebrity stylist, I understand why they said that, because I'm someone who loves to play with fashion because it is so much fun and you can really get into creating these dramatic effects and shapes and colors and prints. And particularly with her height and her frame, you could get away with all sorts of wonderful creations. However, in her royal role, which she takes very seriously, she does have to dress quite conservatively, naturally, again, to comply with royal etiquette. So, what she has done, actually, quite cleverly, is always dressed for the last 5 years or so, maybe a little bit longer. She started to dress a little bit older than she actually is, which does make her look a little bit extra conservative at times. But actually, it's quite clever because as she progresses through her years and into the position of, well, future queen and queen eventually, there's not going to be such a difference. So the royals always take into account the photographs that they look back on, and outfits as a collective. So if they go on a tour, they will look at the entire outfit selection as a whole, rather than just a single outfit. It has to be cohesive. It's like you're in a play or something like that. And similarly with photographs and outfits, very often they'll try to make them look as classic as they possibly can. And then when you look back at these photographs in years to come, they don't look terribly outdated. So which really does work. So that's why.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I can tell you, it's
Fascinating. It's so fascinating. Because you've mentioned the late Queen Elizabeth II a couple of times, let's transition into her because, like you say, such a recognizable style.
Oh, she does, and we all miss her terribly, don't we? I really do. And there's such a rich history that she's given us that, again, I love to delve into from my various videos and things on YouTube and TikTok and whatnot. But the Queen is a very bold and dramatic dresser. So she's actually a very selfless dresser, and she first coined the term, or well, actually personified the term diplomatic dressing. So this is not dressing for herself. If she were to, she would be walking around in jumpers, headscarves, sensible coats and woolly jumpers probably and welly boots,
Yeah.
because she's very much a country girl and loves her animals and everything else, loved her animals. But no, she takes her duty very, very seriously, as does Kate, actually, which is why she's such a great follow-on from her. And would always dress to make others around her feel special, comfortable, acknowledged, whether that was wearing the national colours of the flag of the country she was visiting, a symbolic brooch perhaps with a national emblem of the country she was visiting or the guests she was entertaining, or whatever. But she definitely dressed to send messages and to make people feel very welcomed and very loved, and she was in turn loved for that. And then we have to talk about her style uniform, which I know I've touched upon with Kate, but the Queen really got that nailed in the first place. And you just close your eyes and think of the Queen, and we've all got the same image. It's a matching hat, usually with some quite fun embellishments. That simple shift coat over a simple shift dress, all of it in the same bright, usually colour. The same shoes, one of, I think, about 300 Lorna handbags, top handled handbags. She'd have the gloves if she needed them. She'd have a matching brolly, and then she had her pearls and her brooches. And we loved her. We loved her for that. And it was a style uniform. It made dressing effortless, no decision fatigue in the mornings for the Queen, apart from perhaps which colour to wear. It was all categorised and logged by her dresser, Angela Kelly. Even every outfit was given a name, actually. So, shall we wear Angela today, or shall we wear Queenie today, or whatever? They could refer to them, which I think is lovely. And then she also just loved her brides, which was, as I said, so that she could stand out from the crowd and be seen so clearly by everyone,
Yes.
which was just lovely.
Which was amazing. And now, of course, we have Camilla, Queen Consort. So, in many ways, she's sort of taking that position along with King Charles as sort of the head of the royal family. Let's talk about her style because it's, I would say, probably been quite up and down over the years.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because Camilla gets a lot of flack and a lot of criticism for her style. And I know she's a controversial figure because of obviously the history there with Diana.
Yeah.
But I've done some deep dives into Camilla's style recently, actually, for several TV things, and actually, it hasn't changed as much as you would think over the years. So I went and looked back at some early photographs of her and Charles actually in the early 1970s, and she didn't look that different. She still had the same flicky blonde Farrah Fawcett hair, which is still her trademark, big, big hair. She still had an amazing tan, which doesn't seem to have left her whatsoever. Her makeup is still barely there. She loved colour and actually wore similar shapes to how we see her today. So there's not as much of a difference as you would think. I think with Camilla, I would describe her tribe, and I did for this Style Tribe article, as very flamboyant and quite fun. And she sort of doesn't give a damn in a really good way. I think she's experienced enough hardship and trials and tribulations in her life, and she's got to the age where she's fully comfortable with herself. She's finally allowed to be with the love of her life, which is in itself, I know it was very tragic with Diana, but it was also very tragic with Camilla and Charles and the fact they couldn't be together. And there was a lot of heartache and heartbreak there generally. It's come full circle now, and it's a lovely ending. And you just get the impression that she and Charles are madly in love. All these lovely photographs of them, roaring with laughter, with tears down their face, streaming down their faces. And she's just really living life and enjoying it, and doesn't really care what others think, which I think is all to her credit. And because of her position, she's not under the same scrutiny as Kate or Meghan were, because she's not young and fashionable and in that sense of the word. So she's had more freedom really to develop her own sense of style and get the basics right. And her hemlines have definitely dropped by about 6 inches over the last few years. She becomes more regal, as fitting our future queen, and she looks great in sort of an ice cream palette of pastel colours, look really good on her. She favours a small group of similar designers, Ruth Oldfield included, who's doing her coronation gown, of course. Can't wait to see that. Who she turns to time and time again. She loves her bling, does Camilla, which is great. So she'll go for much bolder pieces than Kate or Meghan, for example. And really, it's all about her crowning glory. So whether that's her big, fabulous hair or her huge headpieces. So when she got married, I thought that headpiece was absolutely incredible that she wore. It was just beautiful. And she can take these big, bold tiaras that they give her as well, because she's quite statuesque at 5'7". She's got a good body scale to sort of take it. It would be lost on someone very, very petite. And she looks absolutely fantastic. So I love it, and I can't wait to see what she wears at the coronation.
I know, me too. Well, when this episode comes out, we will know. And you mentioned the late Diana, who, in my opinion, had the most fabulous style. What can we learn from her style tricks and hacks?
Well, Diana was a fascinating one because she was the first royal, if you like, to weaponize fashion. And she really did. We know it's well documented that she was very unhappy and frustrated, with Charles, and it was an unhappy marriage for a lot of the time. But she found solace actually through fashion in the media spotlight. And the media, well, the whole world fell in love with Diana, and it became so exciting to see what she'd be wearing next, to the point where her fame completely eclipsed that of her husband, Prince Charles, which didn't really go down that well, apparently, which you can kind of understand, from his point of view, but it just got almost out of hand. But she then started to play. So I think the main thing for Diana, whose style personality or style tribe, if you like, is not only bold and dramatic, but also very sensuous, and quite flamboyant. She liked to shock, and she liked to make statements with her clothes. So very famously, she would play with her jewelry. So she might have a necklace that then she would wear around her head as a bit of a bandeau or a tiara that she would create into a necklace. So she loved to find new and interesting and innovative ways of wearing things like this, which would always just get our attention. And then, of course, there was a very famous revenge dress, which is just utterly iconic now. And she just embodied, a woman who is coming back stronger and more self-resilient and ready to sort of attack life in every single way following such a traumatic time. And we all got so utterly behind her because we've all been there, haven't we? Right, in some point of our lives, on the floor, and then she picked herself back up again and just looked amazing. So she had attitude, and also she wore exciting things. We saw her lots in cycling shorts and trainers and things, and I know they were very much in fashion in the day, but that's probably another step further compared to the tailored shorts that Kate and Meghan wear these days. So she wasn't afraid to push those boundaries, and we all loved her for it.
Absolutely. And talking of Megan, what can we learn from her style hacks and tips? Because quite simple, but definitely with a sort of LA vibe, I would say.
Yeah, well, her style has changed actually. Again, now she's left the royal family, which is very understandable because there is an etiquette involved and a style sort of uniform, I suppose. They all have to develop of their own to reflect their personalities. But when Meghan was a royal, she brought the California cool vibe to the monarchy, and slowly had to sort of find her own way. Now we know it's very well documented from the documentary in the book Spare that she loved wearing neutrals. Well, I say loved, she opted for wearing neutrals as a style strategy, in her own words, so she didn't stand out in an effort to fit in and blend in with the royals because she was unsure of herself. It's interesting that came out because it was something that I'd observed about her beforehand, or sort of a year or so ago. But it's actually something we can all learn from, because neutrals are an effortless way to always look chic. And I always say to anyone that's not confident with their style and certainly afraid of colour, if you just pick 2 or 3 principal neutrals and have most of your wardrobe, sort of 80 or 90% made up of those, you will never ever go wrong, because neutrals always go together. And that sort of slightly more muted colour palette always looks very, very expensive. And this could be anything from white to grey to navy blue. In Meghan's case, it was a lot of beige, camels, coppers, blacks, those sort of darker tones, which went with her lovely dark hair. And then in later years, she wore a lot of white, which I think she's very good at communicating with Meghan. I mean, she's a trained actress, as am I, actually. So we know a trick or two when it comes to getting press and getting a message across. And there's something called colour psychology, which perhaps we might cover another time because it's the most important topic and it's fascinating. And just to give you a little sort of slice of that, every colour has both an energetic frequency that we pick up on subconsciously, whether we know it or not, and also has connotations due to its history and traditions of being used in various countries. So to give you an example of that, blue happens to be, I think, unofficially, but I'm going to say officially, the royal family's favourite colour. It's the single colour they wear the most of. The Queen did, Kate Middleton did. Actually, Meghan probably didn't, but I'll come on to Meghan in a moment. But Camilla wears an awful lot of blue and loves the shade as well. And blue was synonymous with our throat chakra, as I'm sure many of our in-tune listeners will know. So is the colour of effective communication for that association, that reason as well. And it's also associated with professionalism, responsibility, trust, which is why we'll often see medical professionals in blue. It's a very calming and reassuring colour. So if you put all that together, communication, professionalism, trust, reassurance, that's a great vibe for the royals to be putting out there. It's great for their brand image, great PR, consciously or not consciously. So that's why they wear a lot of blue. But Meghan obviously had a very tumultuous time, and I always say we never ever know what goes on behind closed doors. We only get one version of it, and often a very skewed version. And it's really hard. I don't think it's no one's place to judge either. Um, we all have hard times and we all do things we're not proud of, but we do know she wasn't happy and we do know she had a tough time. So she employed the style strategy of wearing an awful lot of white. And this is then going back to color psychology. So color psychology is a fascinating topic because there's so many reasons to wear all these shades. And white is, well, not only did it look amazing with her complexion, because she's actually a winter color palette. So she looks really good in the jewel colors and also monochrome. She looks best in monochrome. So white really set off her beautiful skin and dark hair and dark eyes and literally lights her up. So it was a great decision from that point of view. But also white is synonymous with angelicism, purity, innocence. So it was a subtle way of saying to the world without having to say anything, and following in her mother-in-law's footsteps, Diana, help, I'm innocent in all of this, I'm feeling like a victim or I am a victim. Again, no judgment here, but it was just Meghan's way of pushing across that she wanted to be pure and it was seen to be pure and clean, not judged. And, she was doing her best in her own way. So I think that's really interesting.
It's so interesting. I find this all so fascinating. And what I'm intrigued to know two things actually. First thing is, which style tribe do you and I sit in? That's what I want to know.
The thing is, a celebrity stylist, this is, I'm almost my own worst enemy because I love and can appreciate the artistry and so many different aesthetics. I've just been covering the Met Gala for the Mail, so I've gone down a whole rabbit hole with that again. And I want to wear every outfit because I can appreciate them for what they do. So I could dip into all of them, but I suppose if I was going to be one, I'd probably say, funnily enough, the Queen.
Yes.
I love colour, I love a bit of drama, and I quite like to stand out from a crowd with my fashion.
Yes. I agree, for sure. Which one am I in, Miranda? You know me.
I'm going to say a mixture of Meghan and Kate, actually, because
Yeah.
you wear a lot of white, and obviously you are quite. So Meghan has a very natural style personality, actually. She looks beautiful without that much makeup on. She often just lets her beauty and her bubbly personality do the talking and wears quite understated clothes. And she loves her athleisure, all of which I think apply to you. But you also, I know, put a lot of effort into looking fantastic for your social media and your photographs and things. And you very carefully curate your closet and are really good at accessorizing and putting outfits together, which I think is a touch of Kate. So that's where I would put you, my
I
friend.
love that. That's a good combination, I think. And my other question I have is now we're armed with this knowledge about these style tribes, how can we convert this into our day-to-day life? How can we open our wardrobe after either watching this or listening to this and actually think, okay, so I sit in this style tribe. Now, how am I going to convert that to what I'm going to wear tomorrow or at the weekend or next week?
I would say use it as your inspiration. So, because we all have flat dull times where we fall out of love with our wardrobes or nothing fits anymore. Oh, that's me at the moment, actually.
Yeah, I remember you saying actually when we went for lunch a couple of weeks ago, you like, I want to start again.
You can either take that as an opportunity or as an overwhelming, thing to do. But it's funny how sometimes your whole aesthetic changes. But anyway. But if you love the style of a particular royal and you've been inspired by some of the things that we've said, then I would, first of all, make a little collection of the images that you like about them, either on your phone or you can cut out magazines or print them out the old-fashioned way and stick them on the inside of your wardrobe and use that as a little bit of an inspiration and bounce off point for you. So then if you're stuck for something to wear, you can look at some of your favorite pictures of some of your favorite royal outfits and how they get it right. Or if you have to go shopping, you can refer to this little visual list that you've got and use it as a bouncing off point for inspiration. Because fashion is definitely a creative process and we're all so much nicer people when we love what we wear. I can't guarantee that we're all going to turn into Kate Middleton overnight.
That'd be nice.
If you could help to isolate some of the style points that she sort of hits every time that work for you and feel great in your own skin, then it's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. And final question is, what I know that you're hugely passionate about is dressing to feel good, which you've just touched on a little bit. How can we use fashion? How can we use our own personal styling to really help us feel good on the inside, good in our mind, good in our body, good in our soul, good in our face? Maybe you could give a few tips to finish on that note.
Absolutely, and I take my own advice on this every single day, and actually the days that I don't, I'll caveat that it makes a huge difference. So, um, very simply, we all deserve to feel beautiful, no matter our age, shape, size, gender, race, etc., etc. All of us deserve to feel beautiful because we all are, and variety is the spice of life, and it's what makes things interesting and exciting as well. So, if you spend that little bit of extra time in the mornings, or invest the time once a week, if that's the better approach for you, depending on the job in hand, in how you look. So that might be spending an extra 5 minutes on your makeup and hair, just to feel a bit more zhuzhy. It doesn't have to be anything overly complicated, but doing a bit of makeup or basic makeup as opposed to doing none will make an enormous difference to how you conduct yourself, how you feel in the day. And then going on the law of attraction theme, as it's something that I practice a lot as well. I'm a coach, which I bring into my work. You put the energy out, that you attract back the energy that you're putting out. So you are the energy that you're putting out into the world. So if you're feeling a bit zhuzhy and a bit happier and perkier than normal, all those vibes are going to be magnified back to you, and you will pay the dividends and reap the rewards. And that's the same with your outfits. Don't save your favorite things, and we're all guilty of it. Don't save them for best, get them on. Even if they're dressier things and you're better looking things, actually you can make some really fun outfits with a combination of dressy things and really casual things. So play, be experimental, find the fun in wearing bold colors and outfits that make you feel really, really great, because you deserve. I know we're all busy, and I'm the first person to let things go to pot when I'm too busy, but I have to keep bringing myself back because I've got to walk my talk. But we all deserve to feel our best every single day. And fashion and beauty is such a quick fire way to short circuit that and literally take us up that sort of frequency graph. So we're approaching a high vibe feeling and a high vibe day, rather than just a meh day or worse. So take the time. I know it's cheesy, but you are worth it.
Yes, I agree, Miranda. I love that so much. And I'd really like you to share with everyone how they can find out more about what you do, how they can follow you on social media, and how they can get more of these fabulous style tips.
Thank you very much. Well, I can be found pretty much everywhere at the Miranda Holder. So I've got a YouTube, which is longer form sort of style. I do a body shape series on there, and long form royal style videos, Met Gala videos. Then I've got TikTok, which is full of royal fashion fun and facts. Instagram as well, at the Miranda Holder. I've probably forgotten something, but I think those are the main ones.
They're the main ones. And your website? What's your website?
It's mirandaholder.london. Do come and say hello.
Thank you, Miranda. It's always a pleasure chatting to you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, and see you soon.
Thank you.